All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our September 10th, 2024 Town Council meeting. Director Phipps, would you please give us a roll call?
Mayor James,
Here.
Councilman Winkler, Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Present.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yeah, I couldn't hear.
Oh, she said it.
Councilman Jenkins is here.
Councilman Trollinger is absent. Madam Mayor, you have a quorum.
Right, thank you. I can hear we're already having a little bit of difficulties with the microphone, so hopefully that'll work itself out. If I could ask all of you to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
States. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if you all have had a moment to look at the agenda, I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I move that we accept the agenda for September 10th, 2024 as presented.
thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And hopefully you all had a moment to look at our 3 sets of minutes, and I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to accept the minutes for the draft, or excuse me, the special meeting, the minutes from 8/27 and the minutes from 9/3 as presented.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to our public comment section. If anybody here would like to speak, we ask that you state your name, whether you live in the incorporated town limits, and if you could limit your comments to 3 minutes, that would be appreciated. All right, seeing none, our first item on the agenda will be Cornerstone. Bernie, come on down. Yes, please. And for the record, if you could state your name, and we'll go right into what you, an update.
Great. Good evening, Bernie Marzik from Cornerstone Government Affairs for the record. It's a pleasure to be before you, Madam Mayor and Council, once again to provide an update on the services that Cornerstone is providing to the town. I always like to first thank you for the opportunity to represent the town, and just to let you know that you're always in the front of our mind for the issues and the conversations that we have, especially as we focus on the upcoming session, which will be here very quickly. Summer flew by and January will be here very soon. So as you know, Tiffany Harvey, Christopher Dews, and myself lead the effort for the Cornerstone team and representing the town. But you all obviously have at your disposal as well, John Bohannon, former delegate Maggie McIntosh, and chair of 2 different committees, former delegate Patrick Hogan, Dolores Sanchez-Ifacauche, Jenna Sublett, and Ellen Valentino. And I'd like to emphasize that just because of the work that we do. We pride ourselves in being a team, and we really help each other out, but all of our expertise goes into the efforts for the town. So I'm happy to share our placemat and bios. I think I've shared it before, but just for you all to have it front and center. During the last time I was here, we talked about the successes for the town during session, notably the tourism legislation, as well as the funding for the police station and for Dorchester Community Center. Today, I wanted to talk about some of the ongoing work that is kind of on our daily efforts for the town, but then also some of the newer projects that we've been engaged in for the last couple of months. We continue to work with the county commissioners and staff in having conversations regarding the water appropriation. Um, had some recent conversations down in Ocean City with the county attorney. Some of our staff or some of our team has had conversations with the commissioners as well. Trying to move this along. This continues to be a challenge, and we are trying to figure out innovative ways or ways to move the ball forward. And we seem to be making progress, is I guess the best I can say at this point. I know the mayor and others and staff are having conversations, and there's been some changes that will hopefully move this forward. We are also continuing to talk with the county regarding the Box Elder property. I don't believe there's anything new since our last conversations, and as well as having conversations with the acting county administrator for the sidewalks on Washington Avenue. I think Mayor James has had some conversations as well with that. We're just talking with the mayor out in the hall, looking at the drawings for the Route 6 project. You all have likely seen a lot of news lately from Governor Moore and his team and Secretary Wiedefeld. The state has made cuts to the CTP, the Consolidated Transportation Plan, of $1.3 billion with a B dollars for local projects. The way it's been described to a lot of local officials is if the shovel was not in the ground, the funding was cut for the project. So unfortunately, there was funding cut for the Route 6 project, but the good news is that the design and engineering funds are still in there. So the over $4 million for that. So I think better than some, better than most, maybe, is the situation for the town with that. I mean, there's some major projects that have been cut across the state, as I'm sure you've seen in the news with those announcements. So that's kind of an update on the current or the kind of ongoing projects. Also wanted to talk a little bit about some of the we've been, for the last probably year or so, we've had a specialized opportunity sent to the town. We call it Ops Watch, which is our program we put together from our folks in our DC office. And we share this with the town. It's geared toward local government. So these are federal grants. Most notably, I know one of the opportunities recently was dealing with body cams for police officers. And I know that was shared with the police department. But there are numerous opportunities that come forward that we try to highlight based on our knowledge of what you're looking at. Also, we had hired an outside service. We shared two over the last 6 months or so, focused on state grants and on private grants. There were notably some from Department of Transportation that were included in there, Maryland Department of Transportation. I'm not sure how long that program will continue because it is very costly to do this. We wanted to try to sample it and see how effective it was. But there were some decent opportunities there as well. But the Ops Watch will continue as we go forward. Third is we've had a couple of meetings in recent months with the Department of Natural Resources regarding the town's Forest Conservation Act dollars. There's about $130,000 that have had very fruitful discussions, actually, and very helpful to give some examples and explanations of how these dollars can be spent on tree purchases, tree plantings, tree maintenance of these different projects for the town. So I think we've had our questions answered and feel like we're in a pretty good spot with that. So DNR has been very helpful with those communications. And as you all know, we talked about this when I was here last time as well. We have secured funding for the new police station as well as for the Dorchester Community Center. We're now trying to work through Department of General Services, who administers these grants for the state. I actually just recently got an email when I told the mayor I was in the parking lot for the applications that are going back to the Department of General Services to draw down these funds. Hopefully this happens very soon is our goal, and I'm trying to do everything I can to assist with connecting the appropriate folks at the Department of General Services with the town to make this happen very quickly. So hopefully we're able to draw down those dollars very soon. And then finally, I want to thank you for early getting priorities to us for Wills Memorial Park. I think it's a great opportunity to go to the county delegation, to the governor's office, and to legislative leadership to ask for funding for this project. This has been shared, as you all have seen, I think, with the county delegation. They're meeting right now, I think, or 7 o'clock tonight with the county council or county commissioners, excuse me. We will do our best to try to lay out a plan to identify funding opportunities for this project. And like I said, work with the governor's office, work with legislative leaders and the county delegation as we did last year. And hopefully we will see the fruits of our labor come April of next year. So that was all I had, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks a lot for your work. I appreciate all the efforts. I know it's hard, particularly with the new governor, but he's in here too. Just a quick question, like some questions. So, so these priorities you listed in your memorandum of October, August 27th, are they? I assume they're based upon our strategic plan and comp plan. I mean, we have to ground them in those kind of linkages. So I assume they're linked somehow to those. But I do have a question again about, and you mentioned Dorchester. Again, I'm completely mystified as to what money they have, and I'm just asking a general question. You don't know the answer to these, but having said that, why are they again going for more grants where we frankly don't have any idea? I don't, at least, what they've done and what they're doing, and we can't seem to meet with them. So I'm just very concerned. And so now you indicated, and I didn't know this, GSA they administer the grants, right?
Department of General Services.
Right, yeah. So again, what's the grant for? Because we don't have any particular, at least I don't have any idea what they're doing in terms of a plan or master plan or programs or, I guess I'm just complaining that, again, why is this on our list when we don't, at least I don't have any particular idea what they're doing. And it just concerns me, that's all.
Understood. I don't have that answer.
Right.
I'm trying to help to
Right.
facilitate to transfer the $1.25 million that's there for the town for this project. As far as I guess any updates from for that project, I'm not aware of that, and
Okay.
I don't know that answer. So
Unfair question, I apologize.
no, that's fine.
And then finally, so we're going to get these kind of monthly or couple every month update from you or your firm?
Correct. Yes.
Correct. So that's
similar to how Mac Middleton
Right,
used to do
okay,
it.
great.
Yep.
That's terrific. Thank you.
Yep. And I'm available 24/7. If there's any questions that pop up,
Okay.
feel free to call or email at any point. And our team can do our best to get answers for you.
Thank you.
Any other? Go ahead.
You mentioned the police station funding. How much has been allocated so far?
$250,000. It was $100,000 and then an extra from 2 sessions ago and then $150,000
Okay.
from this past session. $250,000 in total.
And I have to say thank you so much for the Ops Watch, because one of the grants in there was for cybersecurity. And that is something that I know our procurement office is looking into, which will very much help the town. And then DNR was very helpful. So especially they were quick in answering clarifying questions on that. And then your guidance for the sending in the priority request for Wills Memorial Park, their play areas, what we're really focusing on, because that's pretty bad right now. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of funding with that. But thank you very much for all of your hard work. Any other questions for that? Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will go. You know what? I know this is probably out of line and we had approved the agenda. Can we just talk real quick about since Cornerstone is right here, the agreement? All that we need is you all have received this agreement. Are there any questions on this agreement? If not, I will entertain a motion to, I will look for a consensus to move it forward. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, Mayor. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. But I would like to see the previous agreements and what the deliverables were and what the outcome of those deliverables before we sign another agreement. I think it's to the tune of $78,000 for the year. I would like to see the past agreements and what the deliverables were and what the performance on those deliverables have been.
Okay, I have that. That's very easy to get. Any other questions?
No, I think that's a reasonable. Just from my background.
So there is, I guess it's on legislation today for the contract ends on the 17th. So we have a little bit more time. September 17th. No, we don't really have much more time, but we can make that happen. Will be, the next meeting is not until the 24th in order to be in, their contract ends on September 17th.
I think we ran into this issue the last time with the previous one. It was signed, it was not properly executed. And so we were a little bit behind in getting the next one executed.
Bernie, I have copies of all of your contracts, but I guess with the deliverables, I'll work with you on that if that's okay. Just what has happened, I guess, a bullet form on the 3 years that we've done this. And last year, for whatever reason, a resolution was not brought up. We have to codify this through resolution since it's a professional service agreement. So I am, you're saying you'd like to see the deliverables, so you're not in favor of moving it forward today?
I think it's a reasonable request.
Okay. And
I would concur
okay,
with that.
no worries. So what we will do with that is we won't put it on for approval today for the agenda, and it's on there, but we won't take the legislation there. And if we could just get something sooner than later, I'll work with you just to see exactly what we're looking for. If you could just say what you contracted for, which I have your agreements, and the success rate. Fair enough? All right, thank you. All right, so we will get back to that. That will be on the agenda on the 24th, hopefully, and we will move forward with that. All right.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
I'm asking that we see the previous 2 agreements that were executed.
Oh, yeah.
And that has the deliverables on it. Okay, that's fine. That's what I'm asking to
Yes,
see.
and
So
then
he
you
doesn't
want
have
to
to
know-
get that to us. We should be able to get that. And I
Yeah.
think we should, if you've been working closely with them, you would know what the deliverables have been on the agreements.
Would you like, yes, I can. Would you like, while he's here, would you like, because they're very similar to the other ones?
That's what I was thinking. I remember what the deliverables
Yes.
were on the last one. They were pretty similar.
They,
And we're still contracting for the same deliverables.
okay.
Okay, thanks.
So that's what we will, that's what I thought you were saying. So I will make sure that you have the previous years, and we will make sure that you have a comprehensive understanding of what was asked and what was delivered. All right, so thank you very much. Next is the town 2025 town elections, Director Phipps. All right, oh, are we gonna talk first or oath first?
That's up to you.
Oh, we don't
I
want to
think
talk
the
to unofficial people
We
first.
should probably do the oath first.
Yes, then we can talk to them officially. Are we missing one?
Oh, we're all here.
All right. So I will do one at a time. Okay, Brandy,
Right here.
and how do you say your last name?
Brian. The H is
Rion.
silent.
Okay, I want to make sure. All right, so you are going to repeat after me. If you would raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Brandy Freya,
Do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
election judge of the town of La Plata
election judge of the town of La Plata,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard. Now it becomes real official when you sign this. You could sign, oh, you get this, oh, that's the red pen. It's, you didn't get a special pen? All right, you can do my special pen. There you go. You could sign that. All right, and Amanda, it's good to see you. Okay, so you had clip notes here, so we're gonna do this with you. All right, you can raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Amanda Wilkin,
Do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will
support the
support the
Constitution,
Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
election judge of the town of La Plata
election judge of the town of La Plata,
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the laws and Constitution of the state.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And thank you so much for volunteering to do this position. If you could sign here. And then, oh, did you do, how was this out?
The highest pressure possible.
All right. Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Kelly Phipps,
Do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of election judge of the town of La Plata
execute the office
of the election judge
of the town of La Plata
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Fantastic. Thank you. I did that because you had
That's
two
so
other
hard.
people in front of you. Thank you so much. You can sign here. And let's congratulate our.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Sign each of them as well. All right, if you would like to sit down, we're going to, and now going to the next part of this. You can just start reading.
Okay, Madam Mayor and Town Council, I present to you the Board of Supervisors of Elections, our newly elected Chair, Brandy Breon, and Mandy Whipke. You may know her from Wild Birds Unlimited. We have done some bird things occasionally. In your packet, you had a copy of the draft 2025 election schedule. It was based on the last election schedule 4 years ago, and in our first meeting, we correlated everything, all these dates to a specific part of the chapter of the code or the chapter relevant to elections. So we went over it with a fine tooth comb. Were there any questions on the election schedule? Sir,
It's probably going to be a dumb question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. I'm assuming that under the March 3rd, where it says certificates of nomination by candidates, that's their application to be a candidate, right?
that is.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Oh, okay, that was an easy one. I feel like I got off. Okay. All right, then I will take the draft watermark off it and we'll go on the town webpage along with the town's elections webpage, which will have voting information and candidacy packets and all that, opening October 1st. You look like you had a question, sir. No? Okay. The memorandum, the memorandum, most of the memorandum was written by Director Harrington, who's joining us online. We started with the last review of the council ward map, which was in 2013. By code, the council ward map is supposed to be reviewed every 2 years on odd years. Obviously, that did not happen, so we had a lot of catching up to do. Included in the projections were a lot of houses that haven't been built yet. And so they are obviously not occupied. There's going to be a lot of fluctuation with that, with our water appropriation problems and challenges. But we felt like, and Director Harrington and I first agreed on the proposed new ward map. And then we took it and tested it on our community representatives to see if our logic was sound. And the three kind of criteria that the new wards needed to answer, they would need to be compact, they needed to be contiguous, they needed to be of approximately the same population. So we did our best to allow for that, and also future growth in the next couple of years. So Ward 1 and Ward 3 changed significantly with some shifting, but that was due to a couple of annexations, and then there's ongoing active development in both of those wards, and also in Ward 2, with Agricopia filling in as it fills in. So when I look at this map, it looks to me like Ward 1 is at a disadvantage, but in fact, Ward 1 is going to be gaining a lot of population as Pine Grove builds out with the multifamily dwellings, both apartment buildings and complexes and townhomes on the north side of Pine Grove. And then in coming years, there's also the apartments by Aldi across from Lowe's. And then in the coming years, a hub will come in and they will also bring more development. Now, granted, that's not going to be for another at least 4 years, maybe longer, but we're trying to project as far ahead as we can and keep ahead of that.
So question for you.
Sure.
So if you're doing this in every 2 years in the odd years, why project out beyond to 4 years? If it's not going to be developed in 2 years, why include that in your analysis for voter registration purpose or for voter equality?
We don't know at what rate the housing will come in. So if something works out very easily in the next, say, 6 months, there could be a lot of construction coming in or not. Our next review is supposed to be next year, but I don't anticipate there will be a whole lot of change between now and then. And then people will start coming in. And in the meantime, in the 2 years interval there will be more people coming into the different wards.
It
So-
just seems you would deal with what I get you can project future out, but you want to deal with what you know today,
Sure.
what you can reasonably plan for given today's information. We know we might get different information in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but so that's why I'm just curious is if one of the wards is projected, they're all projected to be relatively, I think you did a great job of that, of kind of seeing where it's going to be based on future development. But if it's going to be skewed because one area gets greater influx of development sooner than somewhere else, then we're going to be right back here in 2 years, correct? So wouldn't it make sense?
We will be anyway.
Right. So wouldn't it make sense to just not projected or future growth, but what I guess I'm saying the same thing, but just a reasonable, and we can get into it when we look at the maps, but.
Well, hopefully this review will get us back on track. So then we have our next review, which is due next year in February. We can stick with this and then we'll have 2 years of what comes. We don't know.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Director Phipps, am I correct that Pine Grove covers 3 wards?
It does.
That's interesting. I would like to
Is
see
it
that.
wise to split one development into 3 different?
It's where
wards?
they're located. We're not splitting them. That's where it's situated. Is one side is over on. by
No,
Agriculture.
Actually, I think I misspoke, Madam Councilwoman. It would be Ward 1 and Ward 2, correct?
Mhm.
But that's
Good work.
what about Ward 4 over by Agricola between that and, what's the development?
Hickory Ridge.
Hickory Ridge and, Agricola. It's right there.
This is the tiniest print possible. If I had my computer, I could zoom in on it. Um, But I believe Hickory Ridge falls within Ward 1 in the new proposed map. No, it doesn't.
Mm-mm.
No, Hickory Ridge is also in, yeah, Ward 2. This was based on census block data and the active developments and what's projected to go into the project, into the neighborhoods in Pine Grove.
So does it look like it covers 3 wards? 4, 1 and 2?
No, Ward 4 is only south of Route 6 of Charleston.
Okay.
I know
Thank
on the PDF is humongous.
Okay.
So it's hard to
Okay.
see on one screen, sir.
Proposed overlay.
No, I think we're good. Sir.
I have a question. Thank you and I know this takes a lot of work and I was here in 2013 when we did it and this is a lot more thorough. So
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I have a lot more data, so.
that's correct. And plus you had more advantage of GIS, which really helps. I did have a question about Pine Grove too. Is it fair to say that it had to be, well, not had to be, it was somewhat divided because of natural features as well, because of the different development sections? Is that a fair
Yeah.
statement too? Okay.
I believe if we could zoom in far enough and on the overlay, you might
saw
see
the
that it
overlay.
runs along
Yes.
Heritage Green Parkway.
Correct.
So that when that gets built out to lead out to Radio Station Road, it should be a
Okay.
nice, simple divide.
And then to follow up, a question that Councilman Winkler had about Ward 1, you started to answer it and maybe you already did. I was just curious why under the proposed Ward 1 is somewhat lower than the rest of the wards. And that, I guess I'm not quite fully understanding why it's 18.4 versus 29, 23, and 28.
That it's low now, but once they start building the multifamily up in Pine Grove with the apartments and the townhomes, that is going to counterbalance. I think it got to,
Okay.
when they filled that out, it'll be like 4,000. So it'll actually be one of the
okay.
higher populations.
Okay. Again, a lot of effort, so it's appreciated. Thank you.
This is primarily Director Harrington's
Oh,
work, man.
Thank you,
Sure.
Director Harrington.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about my voice. I have laryngitis. One of the reasons why Ward 1 was lower than the others is because of the commercial that's located within it. So I downloaded the SDAT data and I took the residential housing units and multiplied it by the average household population according to the census. And that's why some of the lines were moved the way they were, was because of that commercial population within Ward 1, and it was kind of not quite accurate, compared to the other wards. But with Pine Grove, you have neighborhood A with 236 townhomes and neighborhood Q with 288 multifamily units that are actively being built out. And I see those moving progressively fast, which is why we kind of incorporated that into the numbers along with the Rosewick Corner apartments with 193. So that was why we added those. They're under construction and they are moving along very quickly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Questions? So with that, we're looking for a consensus to move this forward. Is that correct?
Correct, for the introduction of the ordinance.
Are you okay with moving this forward?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Yes.
and I am too. So we'll see this in legislation. Thank you very much for your hard work and happy birthday. And it's coming. All right. Next is the data service agreement renewal. Shall. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Mayor and Council. Before you is a memo that I prepared based on the contract. And the reason I didn't give you a copy of the contract is because it has a lot of security things in it. So you do want to see it, I'll be glad to pass it out, but didn't want to put it with the agenda. So back in January of 2023, we had a closed session with Bruce Coltman at the time, who was our IT specialist. And he explained that we had some deficiencies in our security, and some of them were going to be costly, and some of them we did right away that were less costly. So Dataprise is has prepared a proposal for us for for enhanced cybersecurity and infrastructure services as presented. And they're raising their monthly fees from roughly $9,000 to $13,000. So staff's recommending that we stay with Dataprise because that is our IT support system. And after talking with Karina, the fiscal impact on this is about $30,000 short in the IT budget. But she said we were able to make it up through underutilized budgets of the salary of the new IT person and her benefits. And as we were writing this memo, we got the information about cybersecurity grants, which I haven't looked at it, Karina's looked at it, it looks like we qualify for because it is for cybersecurity. So that would be something moving on in the future. This contract would be something that we need to execute now. And before we started, Councilman Winkler and I were talking that we can reevaluate this contract in about 6 months. We may be able to drop some things. Since we do have a new IT person, we may be able to drop some of the help desk questions and things like that, but we'll have to reevaluate that in 6 to 8 months when she gets on board.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the agreement does allow for us to revise it after it's been executed.
After a year,
So then not within.
not within 6 months. No, yeah.
Bear with me. This-
Well, she'll
Just say that.
I did say 6 months. Yes, I did say that. No, you caught me. You caught me.
That's actually, and that answered my question with the 6 months, but now you're saying it's a year.
It's a year.
So,
It's 3-year contract, but we can look at
okay,
aspects of the contract in a year.
does this lock in the 9K to 13? Is there an escalation clause in each remaining year?
No, the
Okay.
9K is a one time,
Mhm.
and then the 13 is monthly for 36 months.
Okay, my only, and I brought this up prior to the meeting, just in conversation was, with us bringing on a new IT person to have some input from their expertise as to whether, but I think if you're saying in a year that if we need to reevaluate and need to change, I think that's a reasonable. Cybersecurity is not going away, I can tell you that.
And some of the things they've put in this contract are kind of cool. You won't know about him until you've done something wrong.
I like
And
that.
then you will know.
And, Director Larsen is comfortable with this.
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
I just wanted, again, underscore what Councilman Winker said about the IT person. That's hopefully we can make some savings and that'll help us be a little bit more secure, no pun intended. So these cyber grants, are they from the state or the feds or both?
I'm gonna be honest, I did not read it, so it's a state.
And do we have any guesstimate how much they could be yet? We don't know that yet. Okay, thank you.
Like it.
All right.
Maybe
Yeah,
we'll land
that's
this amount.
So I'm looking for a consensus to move this agreement renewal forward. Councilman Winkler,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins.
Yes.
I as well.
Thank you.
Ms. Larsen, come on down. All right. capital improvement plan. We are starting early, so thank you for that.
Well, the purpose of this is we've always done the budget like in one time. We did the operating and at the same time we did the capital. And what I'm proposing is we separate it out. Focus on the capital, develop a capital improvement plan, develop a budget in one session, have that completed, and then let's move on to the operating budget. And I'm a little optimistic, but I'm hoping to have this completed by January so we have it done and we can start on the operating budget. So this is just an outline of some of my ideas and just wanted to discuss and get your feedback on separating those two processes.
All right, questions? Go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I think that's an excellent idea because capital can be, reevaluated. Maybe we're planning for this and it doesn't necessarily have to happen. And so we don't necessarily have to spend the capital funds for it. So I totally support that. I think that's industry standard to have a capital.
It's not unusual, actually, as I read, it's not unusual for towns or cities to have a capital budget process and a operating budget process.
I agree. Thank you for bringing this forward.
All right, question? Question? Go ahead.
Just, I guess, observations. Again, I compliment you for taking this initiative because I totally agree. In my previous world, we did capital budgets at town and county levels. So, and I really appreciate what you called out in terms of key benefits, in terms of strategic planning. So hopefully we're going to link this back to our strategic plan, even though it doesn't have metrics in it, but okay, we can do that. Also about transparency and then the process you talk about, because I've read this before, assessment and inventory. So
Yeah, so that's actually the first thing I'm gonna do.
so that means we have to get an inventory of all our capital stuff.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna use two sources. We have a fixed asset module in our accounting system, which I'm gonna use, and I'm also gonna use our insurance. Because we have the assets listed with our insurance.
And can the GIS help you do that too?
I'm not sure about,
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
gonna
but,
download and
okay.
use Excel to get this listing together.
okay.
Yep.
So again, I think this is a great idea and the idea of doing it by January. So what do you mean by, I'm not quite, I follow that.
Well, typically in January, we start the budget
Correct,
process.
operating.
And I want to get this going prior to that so that we have this in place, at least started and discussed. And hopefully the document completed before we start the operating budget. That's my goal. We'll see how it plays out, but I want to keep them separate and then so that we can focus on those two different areas.
And again, I know might be redundant, but I hope this is also within the capital budget. We really look at maintenance costs.
Yeah, I have ideas on how the forms are going to be for requesting because it is something that we need to consider with not just like electricity costs, but maybe we have to increase personnel costs. So we do have to be conscious of the operating costs of any capital improvement.
Speak too loud. Okay, because I asked the question because the things that I've read over the number of years in my experience have been that maintenance costs end up hurting future budgets and taxpayers. And I give you the example. So when the town takes over a road, we take it up, so we own it, which means we got to maintain it. And so a road may last 20, 30 years, but you got to someday fix it or repave it. So same with water pipes and sewer and stormwater and all those things. So I'm hopeful that we can get to a point where we know what does it cost us to maintain a lane mile of road or a foot of sewer and water and stormwater management, because those are important elements when we do our budgeting process now and in the future, because we can build all this stuff, but you got to take care of it. And so I'm hopeful that this process will focus on that too.
Yeah, and there's also the evaluation of replacement and repairing.
Correct.
What's more cost effective.
Correct.
So that will also be some of the considerations when putting this together.
So again, thanks for the initiative.
Do you foresee us having a budget retreat?
Of course.
And do you see that before January? Because I know we had talked years ago,
Mhm.
we did one that was on a Saturday all day long. It was strategic, the strategic plan and CIP, and
Mhm. I-
that was semi productive, but not as productive as I think it could have been.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that's,
I think we should have a retreat for both, one for the CIP and one for the operating.
and when would you like to see them?
Preferably before the holidays on the CIP and then in January, early February for the operating.
Okay. And I think that sounds like council might be in favor of that.
So I just want to have one question. So we are trying to ascertain what assets we have. How do we do a depreciation schedule not knowing?
No, we have the assets, it's in the system, but I want more detail and more analysis than what our system gives. So when we get an asset, if it's over 5,000,
Mhm.
it gets entered into our finance
Okay.
system. And it looks at, okay, what are we gonna set the depreciation for, how many years, the total depreciation of the asset. Sometimes it's a project that accumulates multiple items. So yes, we do track all of this.
Okay.
And we do have a depreciation schedule, but I'm more looking at evaluating the assets we have, the
Interesting.
replacement schedule, the cost,
Okay.
the cost to benefit. There's a lot of different factors that just because we have the information in our system, it's not giving us everything.
Okay, thank you.
And I would certainly attest to the former retreats that you referred to, because I participated as a staff member, and I found them personally and professionally to be very, very effective, because we were away and we didn't. And so I remember the departments talked about their their existing conditions, their challenges and their needs. And then there was a very robust discussion among the directors and the council and the mayor. And so I found that interplay and discussions very, very informative and helpful. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So, do we need to take a consensus on this for her to move forward on this, or is this just an FYI?
I was doing this as an FYI to get feedback and make sure you guys were on board in separating those processes so that you're gonna have like 2 budgets coming up to you.
It does sound like we all are on board, so thank you for that. Now, the Finance Commission, this is intriguing. So tell us a little bit about this.
So one thing that I heard the feedback from you guys were that we needed to improve our budget process. We would like to be more transparent. So as I was researching other towns, they have these finance commissions and we don't have anything like that here. We have other commissions, but we don't have any finance commissions to help guide us with the budget and kind of engage the community with those budget decisions. So finance was hoping that you guys would consider creating a finance commission through an ordinance so we can have those type of outlets.
All right, questions?
Yes, so if you establish, so right now, our commissions really don't have any criteria, just a desire to serve. I would hope that if we had a finance commission, they would have some type of financial background.
That would be a requirement.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Right.
Most definitely that if there was going to be, yes.
So again, thanks for the initiative, because I think this is helpful and can be helpful. And I'm going to harp on this again. Under your memorandum, it says key responsibility, public engagement. I would certainly support more robust public engagement. And I can give the council and other and staff many examples of communities bigger than us and smaller than us that do a phenomenal job of telling our folks what's going on with the budget. They have website links. They have interactive sites. They have portals where you can go on and you can see and you can comment on it. So I don't know whether we're there yet, but I would hope that we would stretch a little bit and be a little bit more proactive on how we engage the public with our budget. Because a lot of them, from my perspective, were totally surprised, and not their fault, really didn't understand what they were looking at. So hopefully we can do, and I'll help do a much better job of telling people what the budget is and the base, such as how do we prepare it? Where does the money come from and where does it go? And I'll just give you one example, and people probably are not going to like this, but Charles County, they have a YouTube channel and they have a 10-minute thing called Let's Get Fiscal. And they do it throughout the year and they talk about the budget process and they talk about different things in their budget. And they do it throughout the year. Of course, it ramps up when they do their budget, but, and it's like 10 minutes. So I think again, that those kinds of things we should do. So again, I appreciate the efforts here and the initiative. Thank you.
I'm not going to belittle it, but because it is a great idea, and I think it, having, as Councilwoman Bryant Ward it says, as long as it's fiscally conscious or fiscally appropriate people. But where do you see from an input and will it slow the process? Is it another cog in the wheel?
No, I think my main purpose of this is to get more insight on what the community wants in the budget. We don't have a lot of interactions and you guys are pretty much making the decisions. We are making the decisions and really not the public. And this is hoped to bring them into that process and get some insight on really what they're looking for.
Okay.
Great. So you're looking,
Amen.
there's a consensus
Well,
for you to move forward with
Yes,
this.
I need a consensus to move forward to create an ordinance to get
Are you
introduced.
fine with
I
that?
agree.
Agreed.
Yes, and mine as well. So thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to seeing, I know it's a lot of work doing a commission, but as long as you have those people that are knowledgeable, but also the engagement from the community, that's exciting. So thank you for that. All right, next on the agenda is the town personnel system, the accrued leave. It's minor.
Okay, me again. Mayor and Council, we brought before you an emergency ordinances. This is something that's been brought to the attention to previous town manager and the treasurer. And it's something that we need to be looking at the overall policy regarding our vacation and sick leave. Currently in the personnel manual, going all the way back to 2008, an employee, if they met certain conditions, could sell back their vacation leave. And as the years have gone by, it's become financially unsustainable for the town. It's really, I don't want to be negative on this, but we're not being fiscal responsibility, letting employees do that. It's a great benefit to have your vacation, but selling it back, it is starting to cost the town. We're looking at industry standards. There's no place that we can find where you can sell back your vacation leave. I've actually got Charles County here. And the state of Maryland, the Federal Bureau of Labor and Statistics, we don't even have to offer vacation leave. We do as a benefit. So this is it's starting to take a toll on our budget, and so we are presenting to you that to withdraw that portion of our personnel code. You're going to be receiving the personnel code as a whole in several months. It is prepared. Monica has prepared that, but with everything going on, we have not given it to the town attorney to review. But this one little section is really taxing our budget, so we pulled that out for your consideration.
Questions?
So I thought you heard you said that you didn't find any other jurisdiction that has this practice, correct?
Correct.
So it was somehow put in the ordinance many, many years ago, or?
Well, I don't know if many years ago. I actually called Bill Ekmans today, and he did not recall.
Okay. I'm not looking to fix blame. I'm just,
Well, no, no. And then, this is the personnel code from 1986.
Okay.
I was not here, but I came in 1989, so I did get this book, and it is not in this one. So between 1989 and
something
2008,
changed, okay.
the process started, and then it was incorporated into the personnel code. So from 2008 to
Okay.
present, it is written in our personnel code, and our personnel code is adopted by ordinance. So
Okay.
that's why we're before you with an emergency ordinance.
And then two other quick points. Thanks for the memorandum.
Sure.
More detail. That was very helpful. And this is something in the future, but does this suggest an overhaul of our code? Because it's kind of dated and frankly, from my view, it's a mishmash of different things in different times.
Well, we're
That's
starting,
something to think about. in the
yeah,
future.
find things, that, you know, in the charter, there's a lot to be changed, so this may be something. This will be in the personnel code, so when the personnel code comes, I mean, this may not be in the, depends on what you do tonight. So there may be some things in there that you want changed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So probably back when it was put in, the town staff wasn't that big. Maybe the leave accrued wasn't significant, but as we've grown, you know, of course, it's not sustainable. And I know at one point we were having an issue with retention, but really not an issue with retention because we have employees that have been here for a very long time in all of the areas. So I can imagine that it would, you know, need to be reviewed due to the changing of the time and how we're growing. If we continue to bring on new people, if we're going to follow that staffing plan that we had, you know, we're looking at tons and tons of employees coming on. And if we continue that, it won't be sustainable at all. So I think it's better to look at it now. I think the timing is bad because of other things that are going on, but I think it is probably time to consider that because it wouldn't be sustainable and nobody does it. You know, at the hospital, we get it maybe once every 3 or 4 years, they will make the offer. It's not something that's how you, and you can't just say, I want to sell back. It has to be an offer and something happens with the budget for them to do that, you know, and ours is accrued and I don't think we accrue the leave. So it's not accounted for. Yeah. So, yeah, it makes sense to me.
So there aren't any other further questions. I'm looking for a consensus to move this forward to legislation.
Absolutely.
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes,
Councilwoman Brightmore?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. All right, that brings us to our legislation. The first on is just for reading for introduction. It's ordinance 24-15. It's the council ward map.
Madam Mayor and Council, ordinance 24-15, council ward map update, first reading for introduction. An ordinance concerning council ward map update for the purpose of updating the town of La Plata council ward map to include properties annexed into the town since December 18, 2012, and to reflect changes in the town population as reported in the 2020 census and all matters generally relating thereto.
Thank you very much. That will bring us to our next piece of legislation, which is I'm getting this wrong here. It is 24, it is the Dataprise renewal, 24-19 resolution.
Yes, ma'am. Resolution 24-19, Dataprise Renewal of Professional Services Agreement and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Services. For introduction and consideration of adoption, a resolution concerning Dataprise Renewal of Professional Services Agreement and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Services for the purpose of authorizing the Chief Executive Officer to extend an existing contract for professional service for managed IT service in Maryland and all matters generally relating thereto.
Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution 24-19 as presented.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we adopt resolution 24-19, Dataprise Renewal of Professional Services Agreement and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Services as presented.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
second,
Do I have any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And now we're on to, and I'm an aye as well. Emergency ordinance 24-16.
Madam Mayor and Council, emergency ordinance 24-16, town personnel system, accrued leave for introduction and consideration of adoption, an emergency ordinance concerning town personnel system accrued leave for the purpose of amending certain personnel rules and regulations regarding their accrual and sale of vacation and sick leave as outlined in the town's personnel policy manual and all matters generally relating thereto.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adopt emergency ordinance 24-16?
Madam Mayor, I would make a motion to adopt emergency ordinance 24-16 as presented.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Madam Mayor, just a reminder, as an emergency ordinance, this takes effect as of right now.
Okay, and do I need to, I probably should have asked, do we need to do a roll call on that or is it is unanimous?
It's unanimous, you're
Okay,
fine.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and reports. Councilman Winkler.
Nothing to report. The Historic Preservation Commission is meeting later on this month. Hoping to address some new thoughts and ideas for the town, for the old firehouse, and moving forward with some plans with having an architect look at possible solutions to making that more accessible to everyone. So I'll keep you abreast when after we meet the end of the month.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Brightmore.
The planning commission has not met. They are planning to meet September 17th.
Fantastic, thank you. Councilman Jenkins.
Thank you. The Parks and Recreation Commission is meeting tomorrow at 7:30 for our next meeting. And then the Tri-County Council's Pedestrian Infrastructure Advisory Committee meets Thursday at 12:30. We'll begin to look at what the effect of the MDOT's budget cuts are going to be on any pedestrian projects in Southern Maryland, but also in La Plata. So I'll give a report back to that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And speaking about pedestrians, I don't know if you all saw on Charles Street that we do have the two, I guess they're starting to have the beacons put in. So right there in front of Port Tobacco Players, we do have some movement on there. So that is exciting. We have two great celebrations this weekend in town. On Saturday, we are celebrating 20 years of existence here, the Therapeutic Body Works, located at 6 St. Mary's Avenue, and then 10 years at Faith Temple Baptist Church at 7 West Hawthorne Drive. And coming up is the Kent Avenue Block Party, which is on September 21st. That was postponed due to the weather. So it's going to be from 12 to 3. So I encourage everyone to come out there. And then tomorrow, lest we not forget, 23 years ago, our world changed. And if you all could take a moment tomorrow and just think of those that sacrificed their lives or their lives were taken from them on this horrific day on 9/11. We will have our flags that will be down Charles Street to remember in remembrance of 9/11, as well as our large flag up here. And with that said, that's all I have. I move to adjourn this meeting at 7:02. Thank you all very much for a productive meeting. Meeting adjourned. All right.